What's up, Street Talk? It's Eric with Eric from Street Photography Blog. So today, over a nice espresso, I would like to give you some quick tips on leading lines in photography. So the first tip for leading lines is look at the background. So if I look at this photo by Henri Cartier-Bresson, one of the most famous, apparently the story is he's walking down this alley, he sees the man turns around, and Cartier-Bresson gets the shot. What I love about the shot is, of course, the strong leading lines going to the man's face. Also, one thing to note is in the original image, there's a slight little white halo around the man's face, and I think that was achieved by dodging the photo. They did this back in the days of film, obviously, and one of the ways you can integrate this into your photography is when you're walking down alleyways, walking down certain streets, or even certain boulevards or trees, look for the leading lines and try to get subject's head looking straight at you. And also what's very critical for you to do here is either crouch down, tippy-toe, just to make sure that the head's position is dead center in the middle of this leading lines. Tip 2, shoot vertical. So this is a photo that I shot in Sapa recently in Vietnam. And when I made this image, I saw this leading line on the bottom of the frame going straight up to the man. And for me, the cherry on top, or the small detail I like, is the fact that the man's legs are crossed. So the way I like to shoot these kind of photos is if I see strong leading lines on the ground going up, vertical tends to work better. Another practical tip shooting leading lines in photography is to wait. There is something called the fishing technique where you look for an interesting background and just wait for the right subject or fish to enter the frame. So this is a photo that I shot in Korea, 2009, I believe. And the way I shot this image is I saw this nice leading lines in the background, waited for somebody to enter the frame, and I just got lucky that this lady in this umbrella and all white came in. The second I was about to take the photo, she saw me, slightly lowered the umbrella to cover her eyes, and I think that's why I actually made the shot. And so you could see all these leading lines which are pointing to that direction, or vice versa, the lines could be pointing towards her. Another tip, look for arrows. So one day I was shooting street photography after work. This is about 2011 in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. And I see this interesting sculpture nearby my workplace, see the leading line on the bottom of the frame, and I just waited for somebody to enter the frame. Not sure how long I waited, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I just got lucky that a man on a bicycle came and timed it perfectly. And I might have taken 2 or 3 photos and I just got a little bit lucky. Tip number 5, crouch down. This is a photo that I shot in Tokyo. So at the time I was actually shooting with my Leica M9 and a 21mm lens. And I see this leading line in the background, crouch down, a man comes in. I might have taken only 1 or 2 photos. And I just got really lucky with the shot. And what I love about this photo is that when I shot it, his face was initially blacked out, and I used Lightroom to actually burn his face, make it even darker, to kind of give that surrealistic look. See the strong leading line here. Another tip, direct your subject. So I am very lucky that I have the muse of my life, Cindy, and for any of you guys who have loved ones, either your kids, your partners, friends, anybody else in your life, you can just direct them. So here we are in Hanoi in 2017. See these nice leading lines inside this elevator at the rooftop bar. And I just asked Cindy to step inside. And I took a bunch of photos, and the last photo, she's like, "Hey Eric, come on over, let's go." And I just loved the photo because the decisive moment, her waving her hand and the smile on her face, which I love. Now obviously you can see the strong leading lines here. One thing that's also very important in this photograph is this use of figurative ground. So if you look at this image, you can see there's a lot of white space around her head, which is dark, which helps her face separate from the background. And here it is outlined in red. So one practical tip I have is when you're shooting leading lines, look at the background and make sure if your subject's face is dark, try to have a little bit of white space around their head. Similarly, if your subject's face is more white, try to have more dark space around their head. And the last thing is work the scene. So this is one photo I shot of Cindy in Hanoi. She was wearing her hat and we're just walking down the alleyway. And one thing I've been doing is shooting a lot with 28mm lens on the Ricoh GR2, crouching down very low and even using a flash. So to get this photo, I had to shoot 40 images. And I just got lucky on the last shot, shot number 40, the shot came out well. And if you could see shots 1 through about 9, I'm experimenting between horizontal and vertical layouts. Some photos she has her sunglasses, I asked her to take it off. And I keep working the scene, and I don't discover the leading lines until the very end, where I'm working the scene, making a lot of images. And once I think I got the photo, I try to push myself 25% more and take 25% more photos than I think I should. So around shot 32, you could see how I've seen these leading lines in the background. I was able to work the scenes to get the leading lines going straight to the face. So these are some practical tips I have about shooting leading lines. My ultimate practical tips when it comes to shooting leading lines is focus on the background when you're shooting leading lines, because often you get too tunnel vision looking at the subject and you forget about the background. Tip number 2 is when it comes to shooting leading lines, have your friend or somebody post for you, because it's a lot harder to do this in street photography where subjects are obviously not very willing, but take your time. Take 30, 40, 50, even 100 photos, just try to perfect it. And the last thing is with the leading lines. Actually, I don't have a good last tip, but yeah, just keep I would say the last thing is just keep it simple. A leading line could be a strong diagonal line, so when you're out shooting the streets, look for a diagonal line. So that's tip number 3. Right, so if you guys are interested in learning more about composition, of course, go to the Googles and check out Eric Kim composition, where you'll see a lot more good composition tips. All right, until next time, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my espresso, and peace out.